an obsession with perfection. This pursuit sometimes goes completely out of control, whether out of vanity, a desire to stand out, or even due to the influence of unrealistic standards. And some people simply do not know when to stop. They transform themselves to the point of becoming unrecognizable, and many times they face frightening consequences. People who have crossed the line with plastic surgeries, exaggerated fillers, and extreme modifications. These are the people you will meet today. Jackie Stallone, mother of actor Sylvester Stallone, revealed in an interview that she regretted the numerous plastic surgeries she had undergone. She compared the result to that of a squirrel with cheeks stuffed with nuts, mainly because of the excessive facial filler. Even with that regret, she confessed that she could not give up vanity and continues to undergo cosmetic procedures. Jackie explained that she has already had 3 chemical peels and around 50 applications of Juvederm. She makes it clear that she has never used Botox because, according to her, it would not make a difference in what she wanted to change. In addition, she stated that she has no forehead wrinkles thanks to genetics. For her, any resource that contributes to improving one's appearance is valid, but she criticized the plastic surgery industry in Beverly Hills, saying that it is in decline. Jackie prefers to have procedures done elsewhere and mentioned that Hollywood stars all look like they have been struck by the same lightning bolt because of the lack of naturalness. Even with her regrets, Jackie Stallone persists in the search for eternal beauty without giving up staying young, although deep down, she knows that aesthetic perfection is not always achieved naturally. Jocelyn Wildenstein became world famous as the feline woman because of the countless plastic surgeries that completely transformed her face. She spent years investing in cosmetic procedures like facelifts, fillers, facial implants, and modifications to her cheekbones and eyes, which made her appearance increasingly exaggerated. Over time, rumors emerged that she wanted to resemble a cat, and what had once been a search for a unique visual identity turned into an extreme case of obsession with aesthetics. The Swiss socialite divided her life between New York and Paris, where she showcased her luxurious lifestyle on social media to more than 1,100,000 followers. What drew the most attention was her radical transformation, which had allegedly cost millions of dollars. Even with all the buzz, Jocelyn always denied having the goal of looking like a cat. She claimed that this idea was distorted during her divorce from Alec Wildenstein, a billionaire art dealer who used her appearance publicly to ridicule her. Despite being the target of constant criticism and jokes, she always seemed comfortable with the image she created for herself. For many, she represented an extreme example of how the quest for perfection can cross every boundary. Jocelyn went on with her life without caring about comments on her face, maintaining her trajectory as one of the most eccentric figures in the international elite. At 79 years old, she died in Paris due to a pulmonary embolism, leaving behind a legacy of luxury, controversy, and a transformation that became a reference for exaggeration in the world of plastic surgery. Andressa Urach pushed her body to the limit in an attempt to reach the beauty standard she considered ideal. For years, she underwent various cosmetic procedures, including the use of hydrogel to enlarge her thighs. But in 2014, this choice had serious consequences, leading her to an emergency hospitalization in Rio Grande do Sul in Brazil. With a widespread infection, her body began to fail. Her blood pressure plummeted, her kidneys and lungs stopped functioning, and she had to be intubated. For 3 months, she breathed with the help of machines, enduring intense pain and watching her skin necrosis worsen. The consequences caused by the hydrogel were severe. Her legs, once sculpted to fit the standard she had pursued, began to show deep irregularities. At one point, while trying to move in bed, her own hand slipped into one of these gaps, revealing the critical state of her health. Even under those circumstances, she maintained her vanity. She recounted that a nurse put makeup on her every day because she could not stand seeing herself in the mirror without being all dolled up. This experience led her to rethink her relationship with aesthetics. During her hospitalization, she realized she had pushed her body and her emotional life to the extreme in a never-ending pursuit. The obsession with praise and with having a perfect body had exacted a heavy price. The physical and emotional suffering made her see that her happiness could not depend solely on appearance. After surviving that critical phase, Andressa went through a transformation. Gradually, she moved away from the frantic chase for aesthetics and began to rebuild her life with a new perspective. Hang Myoku, a former Korean model, had her life completely changed by an extreme obsession with plastic surgeries. It all began at 28 years old when she decided to have her first procedure, even though she was already considered a beautiful young woman. However, what seemed to be a one-time act turned into an addiction. Hang wanted at any cost to maintain wrinkle-free, smooth skin, and this quest for perfection began to dominate her life. She even moved to Japan, where she continued to have numerous procedures done. Over time, her face underwent a radical transformation, becoming increasingly swollen. The situation worsened to the point that doctors refused to perform more surgeries, claiming her body could not handle further interventions. But Hang did not accept that. Desperate, she decided to take matters into her own hands. First, she purchased a bottle of silicone on the black market and injected the substance into her face. Then, in an even more extreme decision, she began using cooking oil as a substitute. These choices caused irreversible damage. Her face became completely disfigured, so swollen that even her own parents did not recognize her. In the city where she lived, Hang became the subject of remarks, especially from children who noticed how her head seemed out of proportion to her body. Her story gained attention in South Korea when it was shown on a television network. This mobilized thousands of people who donated money to help her undergo surgeries to correct her face. Doctors managed to remove about 60 grams of silicone, oil, and other substances from her face, in addition to 200 grams from her neck. In total, Hang underwent 10 procedures, but the damage was so severe that her appearance never returned to normal. Currently, Hang works in a used clothing store and receives financial assistance from the government. Even after all that, she still dreams of regaining her former face, although she lives with the physical and emotional scars left by her obsession. Dennis Avner, known as the Cat Man or Tiger Man, spent nearly 30 years transforming his body to resemble a feline. Descended from the Huron and Lakota indigenous tribes, he adopted the name Stalking Cat and began his journey of modifications at 23 years old, never looking back. If he had any regret, it was only that he had not started sooner. With tattoos on his face, implants to change the shape of his forehead and nose, sharpened teeth, and even artificial whiskers, he drew attention wherever he went. He stated that he was a worldwide attraction and that being approached by curious onlookers was part of his routine. He also insisted that he loved eating raw fish, just like any feline would. His plans for new modifications did not stop. He still wanted to implant tiger ears on his head, but he was in no hurry. As for the expenses associated with all his transformations, he had no idea of the exact total, only knowing that he had invested a great deal. Even with an unusual appearance, he always claimed that it never harmed his relationships. Over the course of his life, he had 15 girlfriends and never considered his transformation to be a problem. Among all the places he visited, he only experienced prejudice once, at a Chinese restaurant in New York, where they tried to deny him entry. For him, being different was never an issue, and each modification he made was a deliberate choice to live as he wished. Isabel Caro became a symbol in the fight against anorexia after revealing her own reality to the world. Since she was 13, she had struggled with the disease, and in 2006 she weighed only 55 pounds at 5 feet 5 inches tall. The quest for extreme thinness brought her to a critical state, and it was then that she decided to participate in a shocking campaign to raise awareness of the dangers of this disorder. The campaign, photographed by the Italian Oliviero Toscani, attracted worldwide attention. In the images, her extremely weakened body and her expression, marked by suffering, showed the toll anorexia takes. At the time, Isabel explained that she wanted to call attention to the problem, demonstrating how the obsession with a perfect body can destroy a life. Although she continued fighting the disease, she celebrated some progress in early 2010, when she reached 92 pounds. However, the effects of years of deprivation on her body were irreversible. A few months later, Isabel was hospitalized with lung problems and remained in care for 2 weeks. On November 17th of that year, her struggle came to an end, but the news was only made public a month later, when the Swiss singer Vincent Bigler, a friend of the model, confirmed her passing. The exact cause was never disclosed. Isabel's story is a stark reminder of how the obsession with perfection can lead to perilous extremes. Even as she tried to warn others about the dangers of anorexia, she could not escape the consequences of the illness, serving as a cautionary message about the perils of aesthetic pressure and of chasing an unattainable beauty standard. Brothers Grichka and Igor Bogdanov were known in France both for their science shows on television and for their drastically altered appearance. They began their careers in the 1980s, hosting Temps X, a show blending science and fiction on a spaceship set. Over the years, they continued to appear in the media, although their fame was overshadowed by the drastic changes in their faces. From an aristocratic family, they always maintained a difficult relationship with academia. They wrote dissertations in physics and mathematics, but the scientific community never took their work seriously. They even sued institutions for defamation, but this did not prevent them from becoming frequent subjects of jokes in the French press. In the 1990s, the two began radically changing their appearance. Their faces were transformed, sporting oversized chins, plump lips, and huge cheeks, and they insisted they had not resorted to conventional plastic surgeries, but had experimented with new methods and technologies. Meanwhile, close friends confirmed that they were regular users of Botox. Despite the criticism and the shift in their public profile, the brothers never stopped trying to return to television. Before they died, they were working on a pilot to relaunch their old show. However, at the end of 2021, both contracted COVID-19. Confident in their own healthy lifestyle, they opted not to get vaccinated. Friends mentioned that they were not exactly against vaccines, but believed they did not need them. When they tested positive, they underestimated the severity of the illness and delayed seeking medical care. The result was fatal. Grichka died on December 28th of 2021, and just 6 days later, Igor also passed away. The duo, who had spent their entire lives inseparable, departed almost simultaneously, leaving behind a history filled with controversy, drastic changes, and a relentless quest for a look that made them unique. Andrea Ivanova decided that she wanted the biggest lips in the world, and to achieve that, she underwent more than 30 applications of hyaluronic acid. On lip fillers alone, she has spent more than $25,800. And even though doctors warn her about the risks, she shows no intention of stopping. In addition to giant lips, she now aims to claim the title of largest cheekbones in the world, currently held by Anastasia Pokreshchuk. Doctors have already warned that continuing these procedures may be dangerous. There is a risk of lip necrosis, which occurs when tissue dies due to a lack of blood flow. Nevertheless, Andrea switched surgeons and went on with her transformations. She admits feeling intense pain in her face, especially in her chin and jaw, but she regards it as normal during the recovery process. In February, she went even further. She had 6 surgeries in a single day. In addition to the lip filler, she had her chin enlarged and lengthened, her jaw reshaped, and her cheekbones enhanced, all to make her features even more extreme. What is most concerning is that she herself acknowledges that some injections are risky. Injecting filler in the nasolabial area, for example, can obstruct blood vessels and trigger serious, even fatal complications. Still, according to her, that step is necessary to maintain the youthful look she seeks. Andrea's radical transformation draws attention, but it also raises criticism and anxiety. While doctors warn of the dangers, she remains determined to further expand her lips and cheeks. Whether she will continue on this path toward an extreme look or recognize the risks before it is too late remains to be seen. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.